The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Jay Gatsby is the iconic cool persona that hosts the coolest parties in town, and he's the envy of the narrator of the story, Nick Carraway. Although he has everything, he's tormented by his past love with Daisy Buchanan, who has married Tom Buchanan, and despite her being married, Jay Gatsby wants to rekindle that old flame and recreate things the way that they were. This book is 100 years old as of this year, and it's really impressive how much it has been read and reproduced, and all the movie adaptations. It's something that has become an American classic, and I think rightfully so. First of all, the writing is really good. The prose, it's so musical. Like I like going back and reading certain passages because I find in the process of reading the book, I keep saying, "Oh, that was a good line. Oh, he phrased that really well," and that's just because I guess is really good at finding that the phrases that stand out to us. On that note, I should read the end of the book because I just like reading it. I like the way it sounds. And it just goes to show how good he was with the English language. And as I sat there brooding on an old unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come a long way to this blue lawn, and his dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. He did not know it was already behind him, somewhere back in that vast obscurity beyond the city where the dark fields of the Republic rolled on under the night. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning... And so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. So of course, famous ending, famous lines, but it also has other bits that I just am constantly thinking about and reflecting on again. At one point in the story, he has this line: "It occurred to me that there is no difference between men in intelligence or race so profound as the difference between the sick and the well." I love that line. Every time I get sick, I think about that. Just the drastic difference in how you see the world if you're feeling fine or if you're physically ill. What made Gatsby great? My sense of it is his optimism and his hope for the future. What are the main things that Nick admires about him. And you also get the sense from reading Nick's impression of this first meeting that Gatsby is a really nice guy, and he's constantly seeing the world in your favor, is how the book phrases it. Generally, you read about a guy like this and it's personally inspiring to you. Like, you read a book like The Great Gatsby and think, I want to be like that guy. Maybe Gatsby is also great in contrast to some of the other characters in the book. Daisy and Tom, they're pretty superficial. You don't get no one's reading The Great Gatsby thinking, oh, I want to be like Daisy or I want to be like Tom. Like, they're very shallow people and they're very careless, as Nick calls them at the end of the book. And it also seems like it's a shaky foundation. Like, she didn't like me when I was poor, so now she's going to like me when I'm rich. Like, how deep is that love story anyway, if it's only dependent on how much money you have? So Gatsby ends up getting killed in the end because he covered for Daisy's recklessness. What's fascinating to me is Nick, in the beginning of the book, saying that Gatsby turned out all right in the end. And I think that says something to the importance of being true to your character. And in Nick's mind, Gatsby absolutely was. That's why he called him the Great. Gatsby still has his indefatigable optimism, and that really is a lot more important than the specific results of the random chance things that can happen to you. We live in a world where you could get hit by a car and killed tomorrow. Like, there's tons of things bad things that could happen to you, but it's your character where the real victory lies. But I think it's also important to think about Gatsby's fatal flaw, which is this sense that he's optimistic, but he's optimistic about a past that can't be resurrected. Side tangent a bit. I want to compare this with a more recent story of Castaway, the 2000 movie with Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks, spoiler alerts for if you haven't seen Castaway, Tom Hanks is serious about this girl, Helen Hunt, and he's going to marry her, but he goes on this flight. The flight crashes and he's stuck on this island for years until he's finally able to get off. And when he comes back, he finds that Helen Hunt has married someone else and she's moved on, she has kids, and now the two of them are kind of like, we were going to get married and it was going to be great, but now this is years later and what do we do? The Tom Hanks character in that story says in this monologue at the end of the movie, I had to let her go. This can't work. So I'm just going to keep breathing and who knows what good thing might come. And then the movie ends with him returning the package, and then he's standing in the intersection, and that truck goes by and heads north, and the final shot is him standing in the middle of the intersection looking all directions and then looking up and into the camera, and he does that little smile. To me, that is the opposite of The Great Gatsby, because Tom Hanks was able to move on to see a possible bright future even though he had just lost the love of his life. To think that maybe something else could come, that a bright future that he can't see, but he's leaving the past behind. So to me, that ending is the opposite of The Great Gatsby, in a sense, because Tom Hanks's character is able to let the past go and to embrace the unknowns of the future. And that is just something that Jay Gatsby can't do in the course of this book. So, fun side note, I actually went to that intersection once. It's in the middle of Texas, and I went out there by myself on a day when it was just like it was in the movie, and I got to stand in the middle of the intersection. It was cool being alone because it fits the tone of the movie and the scene, but that also meant that I couldn't get a good picture of myself standing there. So, oh well. But back to the book. I loved it. I think it's a classic worth experiencing multiple times. To me, it is not overblown as some classics are. And I can also recommend the Audible version where Jake Gyllenhaal reads it. I thought he did a great job. So I can recommend that as well. I'm going to give this book 5 stars.